Monday, peoples.
Welcome. Happy Monday. Come on in the room. And that's my weekly song. He always laugh at me.
Post Mother's Day.
Right. Come on in. Yes, you survived. How was your Mother's Day? Come on in the room. And when you hear, tell us who you are. Well, where you from?
Where you from? My Mother's Day was good.
Was it?
No.
How was your Mother's Day? How was your Mother's Day, love?
I don't know. I'm not a mother.
You were taking care of mothers.
I did. It was a lot of work.
Why was it a lot of work, honey? Do tell.
I have two women that are very important to me, and they require a lot of attention.
What? Wait a minute. You're not going to throw me into that bus.
What bus? You're beautiful. Beautiful.
Don't sing it, baby. Don't sing it.
We.
You know what? Don't even. Hey, Robert. No, I'm not okay. I ate a taco and thought it was a hot dog wrapped in lettuce.
Say what?
What in the world? What, Robert? What you got going on tonight? What you got going on tonight? Hey, Miss Tanja.
Hey, Miss Tanja.
Come on in the room. Come on in the room. Jesus is my doctor. He writes out all of my prescriptions.
He does.
He brings all of my medicine in the room. It's in the room.
In the room.
See, Lynn got me. Look at that. Whatever you need.
In the room.
What's
up, Robert?
Fix it,
Robert say, I love y'all. How you been? He was just joking. We are great. We're glad to have you here. Tonight is a good night. I'm going to tell you about it now. Cedric, say where you're from. Cedric had to put Richmond Heights, Florida. He did his own therapy session just for growing up in Richmond Heights. We're going to just tell him that we're going to sign him up for a session to talk about what happens. Hello, Sean, my lovely son.
We out here.
Hey, Miss J, good evening. Got me saying it right. Look, all them scriptures. Y'all know about that. That's from church folks. She another PK, so she really know about we need to talk to the therapist about church folks. Let's just talk about that.
Church hurt.
That's 2 or 3 shows all by itself.
Right, listen, right? Church hurt that people say don't exist. Church stuff that people, child, when I tell you it's a whole nother show, she said 2 or 3. While we wait, why did the dog jump into the water? Oh, Lord. Robert, why did the dog jump into the water? We're going to see what Robert going to say, because, honey, ain't no... Robert is a comedian tonight. Robert, where you from? What city you in? Do you remember?
No.
Let me see. Because it was a hot dog.
Ooh, kill him. Boom, bang.
Robert.
Yeah, tell us where you from. Tell them jokes.
Right. Oh, he from Houston, Texas. So he from Houston. Okay. Is that what kind of jokes they tell in Houston, Texas?
I know, right?
All right, we're gonna give you like 1 more minute to come on in this room. Share this to your page. It's gonna be a great show. If Cedric get in the screen, I don't know what we got going on here tonight. You
do something. I don't know what to do.
You put share page.
I don't know. Share something.
Share it to your page. Share page is not a complete sentence, honey.
Listen.
What? Let me go back to my
Is that better?
One more. Why was it hot after the football game? Oh God, Robert. Why, Robert?
That's better.
More better. Can you give us an answer? All right, because all the fans left.
All the fans left, like fans.
Robert had another joke, Lynn. I don't think you got it. He said, why was it hot at the football game? He said, because all the fans left. You know, I ain't even get it at first, but I got it now. Hey, Miss Brooke Gurley. Thank you for joining. Hello, Miss Florence. Take a minute, share this to your page. We are getting ready to get started right now. We always give everybody until like 11:05 to come on in because y'all be working and stuff like that. What did you?
That's terrible. That's my Charles Barkley voice.
Robert, he said that's terrible.
That's terrible.
Yes, baby. You can't be talking that. So tonight we have the lovely Miss Lynn Kelly.
Hey, everybody.
Look, in Orlando, but from New York. So she gonna give you that New York flavor. They tell it like it is. They love you, but they gonna tell you gonna get your life all the way together.
Together.
Let me see. All right. So tonight, the topic. Well, May is Mental Health Awareness Month.
Right.
First of all, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. We didn't get a chance to talk to you yesterday. I hope everyone enjoyed their day, whatever that enjoyment was for you.
Right.
So whether that was resting, whether that was doing activities, I really hope that you got whatever is for you. And that's about those love languages we talk about, because you got to know what it is for that. Every mother is not the same. I saw mothers that want to go do activities and stuff with their children. Yeah, I don't want to do all that. I just want to do something for me on that day. So you got to know what is good for the person that you're trying to show love to. Miss Kelly, what did you do yesterday?
I was with my family and enjoyed my day, and thank God that my mother was still alive so I could celebrate her.
Yeah, now it is a privilege to have your mother still here. Both of our mothers are still here, and that's all I could think about yesterday, because it was a time when she had open heart surgery that she could have not been here at this time, and so to be thankful that you have your mother to celebrate and not just memory. So that is a very good thing.
Yeah.
Right to the side. So Robert said, "Hey, Miss Kelly."
Hey, Robert.
So tonight we're talking about mental health. So I didn't even realize that May was Mental Health Awareness Month until actually about 2 weeks ago. And what it made me think about is that how we don't deal with mental health. We don't deal with what is going on in our community. We have so much stuff happening to our Black community, especially with this pandemic, people losing jobs, police brutality, and we don't all talk about it. Men especially don't talk about it. And when we do, we kind of put in the boxes, you just crazy or whatever. So tonight we're going to have somebody that this is what she do. Not this is what she does. This is what she do. Look, we understand that in this time, we have to find ways to get the information to people and encourage them to move forward and to do something with their life and their feelings and their emotion. And I said, we talked to somebody last week and she has a different way she deals with hers. I forgot what she said, but she said she was determined not to take medicine. I said, give me all the medicine, whatever you got, give it to me, whatever gonna make me feel normal, get me back right. Cause I was not in my right mind. I just gonna tell you, it was too much stuff going on. So you have to know what it's going to take for you. And sometimes we think we need it, we don't need it, and we might need a little something to help us level it on out. So
you might do.
I did, babe, so I can make our house a happy place, because I don't think our house was a happy place at that time. Why you laughing, babe? What's happening?
Oh yes. Happy you got the medicine.
Happy I got the medicine. You see that? So Miss Kelly, tell us a little bit about you and how long you've been doing this.
Well, it's my purpose that God gives me. God gave me purpose to help people. And I've been doing this fully since about 2013. I enjoy helping people get through life's challenges. And it's all about sometimes the way that we internalize things, the way that we look at things. Sometimes we have a distorted view. So my motto is, let's change our lens. Let's take our glasses off. Let's change our lenses. Let's look at the situation a little differently.
Yes.
I am a psychotherapist, meaning that I'm cognitive behavioral therapy. If you change your mindset, then your behavior will follow. If you put the most important thing on your body, what you tell it to do, it's going to do, and your behavior will follow. So talk is very, very important, and more people should get into it. You were talking about medicine, taking medicine. Well, if you take the medicine, that's a temporary fix to a major problem. So
So you try to
once the problem off, you still have the same issue. But talk therapy, I like to get in and excavate the roots of that issue so it can't grow back. It can't come back again.
Okay.
See, now that was one of the questions we were going to ask. We're going to start about what is depression and all those things, but it was like, can it be cured? Can you get to a place where you don't need the medicine? Can you get to a place where you know how to live with that? Like, is this not like what's one of the ones that can't be cured? Things that can't be cured. So, depression. What is depression?
Okay, I'm going to give you the American Psychiatry Association, their meaning, so you can't say, well, she misquoted it. So I'm going to give it to you from them. Major depression disorder, dysthymia, is characterized by a depressed mood or loss of pleasure or interest for at least 2 weeks. It is also accompanied by at least 3 of the following symptoms, and the symptoms must be present most days: weight loss or change in appetite, insomnia or hypersomnia, that means sleeping too much or not being able to go to sleep, psychomotor retardation or agitation, fatigue or loss of energy, excessive inappropriate guilt or feelings of worthlessness, indecisiveness or diminished ability to concentrate or think. Indecisiveness, you can't make a decision. You know, you're going back and forth. And recurrent thoughts of death or suicide ideations. You just want to kill yourself and end it all. You have an attempt or a plan. Depression is common and a serious medical illness. Now, it comes in different strains. We're going to say mild, we're going to say medium, and then we're going to say severe. Okay? So usually it's either mild or severe. So, you know, when it's severe, we look at it as clinical depression. You have a severe case. So if it's going to be severe, sometimes you may need medication along with talk therapy. Okay? Right. Medication along with talk therapy until you can, you know, reach a balance there. And we can let the medicine go, because you know what I said, this is the most important thing on your body. You can get it here. We're going to think about this situation differently.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So no medicine without talk therapy.
Right.
Okay. All right. So what you said, look, you have said so much. I'm like, whoa. Having 3 of those things present at the same time and most days.
Yes. You have to have symptoms must last at least 2 weeks. It must be present, or must be your level of functioning must change. Say, you know, you enjoy doing this, but now you have no energy. You can't get out of the bed in the morning. You like the windows, the blinds down. You like the room dark and things of that nature, because you don't want to see the light. You want to stay in the present mood. Remember, depression is that deep, dark hole. It's dark.
Yeah, Lord.
So you must know what I'm talking about.
Yes. And when you start to see yourself going down that hole, you have to consciously not go that way. Do things like when you say you're starting out and want to do things, you have to force yourself, because the farther you go down that hole, the harder it is to come out.
Right.
Is there a particular race that depression affects the most, and why? Well,
you know, there are several factors that contribute to depression. So first, we're going to talk about the biochemistry. Our brains are made up of chemicals, and a lot of people don't understand that, but it's called serotonin, and serotonin levels are very important. Also, we have neurons in our brain, so the loss of neurons and neuronal connections, that can cause a problem. And then the level of serotonin. If the serotonin goes down too low, you can have suicidal ideations. So medication can keep that up. And that is a genetic factor. It's from family to family to family with the serotonin. So that's very important to make sure that you have a neurologist. If you're just fighting and you can't, seem to get out. We go to the doctor for everything else, but when it comes to mental health and neurology, we kind of steer away from that. So we need to do that. Another thing is genetics. Depression can run in families. That's the first thing we find out. Is there a history of depression? Did mom or dad have it? Did grandmom have it? There are a lot of mental disorders that are genetically decomposed. So we want to look at that. Usually, and also in the genes, the females sometimes can be more prone to certain disorders than the male. It'll run stronger in the female line than in the male line. One thing I want to bring out about depression, a lot of people don't know, it is the number one disorder that doctors write medication for. Did you know that?
I did not.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah. Antidepressants are the number one prescribed drug.
Wow.
So you go to the doctor and you tell, well, I'm sad and this and that. Right away, the doctor will give you a prescription for antidepressant. It's the number one drug.
Wow.
Depression is very prevalent. Personality, people with low self-esteem. That can be another issue, who are easily overwhelmed by stress. Think about COVID and all the stress we went through. Think about what we're going through now. I know every time I go to Publix and I look at the prices, that causes me stress, because the prices is escalating, so that is one thing that's very important. That can cause us stress. Money issues is prevalent. Environmental factors, environmental factors are very important. Continuous exposure to violence. Look what we're dealing with now. Look,
right.
Man, Cedric, as a Black man, that can cause you depression. Well, I can't go out at night because I don't want to get stopped. Look at the racism that's going on right now. That can cause depression. Why don't they like me? You're sending your children to school and they're being bullied and teased because they're Black or because they're gay and things of that nature. There's a lot of things that can cause depression. LGBTQIA community. Look at the transgenders right now. There's a lot of things that can cause depression because they don't feel free. So there's a lot of those factors, and we call them environmental factors, that, people are more vulnerable to depression.
Well, so depression was the number one
prescribed. So I had a question.
Depression, yeah, anxiety and depression, but antidepressants, that's one of the medications that is prescribed for depression.
Okay, Cedric, go ahead.
Well, my question was, since that's the number one prescribed thing by doctors, you as a specialist in that field, do you find that they're prescribing that medicine to people who may not need that may misdiagnose that as maybe something else?
Are they overprescribing?
Right, overprescribing for people who might not necessarily need it?
It could be because that is not their field of expertise.
Right.
Instead of referring, hey, you need to go see a mental health counselor or a therapist and see what's going on. Yes, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. That can cause, and a lot of people, hey, they got an antidepressant, as Angie said, medicine makes them feel good, but I don't need to go talk to anybody. And then we have stigmas that we can't differentiate and understand what's the difference between a psychiatrist, psychologist, mental health counselor. Well, I don't need a psychiatrist. Okay, the psychiatrist is the medicine doctor that prescribes the medicine. The psychologist, they do testing. They do the intelligence testing. Mental health counselor, I do all the other testing. The only test, what separates the psychologist from the mental health counselor is 2 intelligence tests. Okay, we do the talk therapy along with the other testing. So, there's some important factors there when people now they should know how to differentiate, psychologist, psychiatrist, mental health counselor / therapist.
That's good info because I didn't know what the difference was between them either.
But even now when I talk to people, I have to say, because like when they say psychiatrist, psychologist, I didn't even realize there was a third one, honestly.
Yeah. But
I always the one that prescribes medicine and one you talk to.
Right.
Yeah.
So I didn't know there was a third component to it.
Yeah. Well, the psychiatrist is the one you're going to refer to for medication. you need some meds. Say you have bipolar or schizophrenia, you're going into psychosis, you're, hallucinating and delusional, then you need medication for that. So you're going to a psychiatrist so they can prescribe the right medication for you. But it's our job as therapists as well to regulate that meds. How are your meds working for you? What dosage did you get? Maybe you need to lower that dosage. So those are the things that help. Talk therapy along with the meds. The psychologists also, they do talk therapy, and they specialize like in ADHD, attention deficit disorder, and things of that nature. But they also do the intelligence testing. I do the other testing. You might have testing such as bipolar testing, ADHD testing, anxiety testing, and things of that nature. So,
okay. Yeah.
Take a minute if you're on here to share it to your page. This is a good conversation, good information. It's only been like 10 minutes or so, and I've already learned so much. And this is from somebody that sees all of them. Whatever I have to see, who I have to see, I go see. And it's information. Like, no one takes time to explain this to you.
Right.
Part of why there's so much of a stigma in the Black community about mental health, because you just think that if you go see somebody, you crazy, or you don't tell them my business. But if whatever trauma that you may have dealt with has caused you to not be an effective adult, effective wife, effective husband, an effective employee, and whatever you do, you need to get to a place where you don't disrupt everything that's around you, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I know that when, as I said last week, when my brother passed and I was going through depression, and when I didn't know originally, I was going to the room and go to bed every day because I had a migraine. And I went to the doctor all the time. And one of the questions my son told me to ask, which he didn't know the answer to, which I was able to answer, but I'll let you, do, does depression cause physical illness? Mm-hmm. And I laughed because I was like, oh yeah. Because I went to the doctor every week and I had real symptoms, but it was because of whatever I was internalizing. It was something on a regular basis.
Right.
It does. It causes a lot of physical changes, chronic fatigue, lack of energy, sleeping too much or sleeping too little. Just like I said, you don't feel like getting out of the bed in the morning. You're overeating. You're gorging out on food just so, you're emotional eating. And then some people don't eat at all when they get depressed. And you'll notice that weight gain, loss of motivation, or the last one is the most important, and that's substance abuse. They'll start drinking or using other to numb the pain that the depression is causing.
Wow. How do you know if your children are having a problem with depression because they don't necessarily voice?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Children are a little different, especially and I guess one of the questions was, can children be depressed? And if so, how do you know what things should you pay attention to know if there's something going on for children?
Well, you can notice the emotions that they display, such as anxiety, sadness, guilt, anger. If you know your child is starting to have a lot of mood swings, I don't feel like it. They isolate themselves in their room, and that's not your child. Or if they're irritable, irritability is a big sign of that. Also, if they're withdrawing from others, say they used to play outside all the time, or, they used to engage on social media or whatever, and now they've lost interest in pleasurable activities. So it's a good idea to knock on that door. What are you doing in there? What's going on? Also, another one that parents should pick up on is changes in their personal appearance. Okay? Because a lot of times they'll wear like all black, or they'll wear certain things, and you can pick up on the style of dress, how they feel. Are they really taking care of themselves with hygiene? Coleman, well, I don't care how I look. That's it right there.
Right, right.
And that they used to, put on a production before they would go out. So those are things that parents should look for and always be in tune to what's going on in your household. You know, if that child is in that room with that door locked, when my kids were growing, we didn't lock any doors. No, we're not locking doors here. You know, so those are important things that parents should always be a part of your child's life and know who they're hanging out with and know those kind of things. You know, what's going on, especially the weight gain or weight loss. That's an important factor as well.
So you want to talk about it?
Yeah, no, not that one. My question was, once someone has depression and they get treatment and they get over it, is it easier for them to get it again for something else, or it's like
No,
that's once on drugs, can they, you know, easy to get hooked again? How does that work?
well, you know what? We teach coping skills in talk therapy. So if you relapse, then you know the coping skills to get yourself back on track. This
Okay.
I'm going to try this now. And I think the biggest thing is dispelling all the myths out there about why you don't want to go to talk therapy. You know, when I was growing up, I don't know about you, but you know, mama said, what happens in this house happens.
Stays in this house.
You
Right.
go out your mouth and tell anybody. So that's the same thing with talk therapy. Sometimes, you know, your friend, girl, don't tell all that, don't tell them all your business. Don't go out there.
Right.
One thing that mental health counselors do, and anybody in the psychology field, we take an oath for confidentiality. Okay, so that is very, very important. What you and I talk about is between you and I. There are certain things that we do have to purge, such as if you have suicidal ideations, then I have to let someone know. Or if you're homicidal, if you plan on killing someone, then yes, I do have to divulge that information by law. And different cities, different states have different laws. So, you know, if there's child abuse or if there's geriatric abuse, those things I do have to say. But that's also in the consent. When you are, when we're doing an assessment and you go see a mental health counselor, they go over the confidentiality policy with you and they tell you the exceptions to confidentiality. For instance, if you have a child, you know, then I can only say certain things to the parent. You know, that communication is between me and that child.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Okay. Certain things the parent does have a right to know, but there are other times when, you know, I'm going to talk with that child and keep that thing in marriage counseling. Say, for instance, you and Cedric came to me. If Cedric told me something, I'm not at liberty to tell you.
Oh.
That's right.
Yeah.
We have no
So
secrets.
confidentiality is a big thing, and it's all about relationship. Building that relationship so you feel safe in telling me, hey, this is what happened to me. I was molested when I was 15. You know, this happened, that happened. Nobody else knows. You're the first person I told. That means that you create a safe environment. And you build a relationship with that person in order for them to divulge that information. And that's very important. Because it can cause depression.
Right. So we had, when you were talking about depression being the number one, Shayla said she didn't know that. We had Tasha come in and said, this is great information.
Thank you.
So we have a question from Thayer. Thayer said, what are some ways to suggest to someone to seek counseling if you are noticing the signs?
Okay. Ask that person, first of all, let's look at the signs and let's look at the triggers and the causes. It could be grief from losing a loved one, death, divorce, or separation, social isolations, feelings of being deprived, major life changes, moving, graduation, job change, retirement, personal conflict in relationships. That's a significant one. Physical, sexual, or emotional abuse. If you know someone that has gone through that, you're going to just strike up a conversation. Hey, have you ever thought about talking to someone? You know, have you ever talked to anyone about this? You know, this might help you. They can show you ways to, you know, combat this. And, you know, it's not what you think. You know, just try it and see if you like it. If you don't like it, boom. You know, and there's also group therapy. Now, group therapy, we recommend if there's substance abuse issues, drug, group therapy is good. Also with teens. if teens are dealing with certain things, group therapy is very good because other people's coping skills can help someone else.
Right. So Thea also asks, would you recommend talking to someone you know personally to initiate counseling versus someone you don't know? Like, I'm going to say, because even if you work with somebody, I know there's sometimes you can see, like, if somebody is just, it's certain people that, sometimes you have to be around people while to see, but sometimes you can just see like, oh, they are not in a good place. Would you, like, even if you don't know them, would you say something, if you know that they're in a really low place?
Yeah, I would.
Yes, you would?
Yeah, because I always equated to Erykah Badu walking through Grand Central Station with those bags of issues. Those bags are weighing her down. God gives us life and he wants us to live it abundantly. But we can't do it with all the bags and all the weight that we're carrying around. Because the Bible said, cast all your cares on him. So, if you go talk to someone, you can let go of those bags and feel a sense of freedom off of your shoulders.
Okay.
And it's very good to do that sometimes. Yes, I would definitely recommend it.
Okay. Well, Thea, we thank you for your questions because this is the stuff, that we need to know in order to help other people. Because sometimes we're like, it's not my business. But yeah, sometimes really Cedric with his graphics, let the bag go. Baggage go, sorry.
Yes, and an emoji.
I see you have an emoji. Now, the people that suffer with depression, do they commonly try to commit suicide, or is it more of a common thought, or is that something that happened? Do they really try to do that?
It depends. It depends on the level. Remember, I said there's severe depression, and if they're not on medication, or if they skip their medication, or if there's bipolar involved, there's bipolar 1 and there's bipolar 2. And
there's 2 bipolars.
I'm sorry?
There's 2 bipolars?
Yeah, there's bipolar 1 and there's bipolar 2. So, there's different levels of depression. And if they get in that deep, dark hole and they can't climb out, they can't see their way out, they have no counseling, they're not on medication, thoughts of ending life is easier for them because they've let it persist for so long and they just can't see a way out. So if you know anybody suffering, please tell them to get the help that they need.
Now, I know that people that suffer from bipolar tend to take themselves off of medicine.
Mm-hmm.
And some then self-medicate with, like you said, with alcohol, drugs. It's mainly drugs. How do you, because I know, I have a family member that had, issue with trying to get help for their child, adult child still, but a child that was having a problem with bipolar, because there's so much, the laws are so restrictive, like you can't just Baker Act people, you can't, and so it's very difficult when you want to help a loved one with that issue if the laws kind of tie your hands until they do something.
Well, the problem with Baker acting is a lot of times you're trying to help someone with a severe illness and they can only hold them for 72 hours. They do an assessment, right. They hold them until 72 hours. They'll take meds while they're Baker acted in the facility, but when they get out, sometimes they won't take their meds. And then if they're in mania, which I'm not going to get into tonight because there's so many components to it, that can be a serious illness if you're mixing that with drugs or alcohol, because it just exacerbates things. So, and then if you're mixing that with depression, wow, it can be a dangerous mix.
Wow. I mean, it's, first of all, just to know there's more than one bipolar.
It's a lot of moving parts.
And that's the thing. I think that's what people don't understand. It is a lot of moving parts. And you just think, and I thought I was well versed on a lot of this stuff.
Handle on it.
I mean, I thought, not that I knew how to do it, but I thought I knew enough.
Surprise.
Surprise. I feel like I'm
you know nothing.
I'm in remedial classes once again. I am. Oh, wow. I'm just the fact that you get talk therapy to help you to get a place where you don't need the medicine, you can cope, and
Uh-huh.
you know steps on how to get yourself out of the hole, or don't go down the hole. Though this is big. Like, so to be married to someone that you perceive to have some type of mental something, what do you recommend? Because that, is as much as we want to talk about all kinds of things. Let me say, Tasha says, yes, this is true. We were talking about helping an adult child with mental illness. That kind of stuff is very, very difficult. That's what she was referring to.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a spouse that has some type of mental illness,
Right.
Although we talk about a lot of things, that can be a tricky subject, because what generally happens, you just crazy. And that's because their thoughts are irrational or all over the place. And I know that's not what we're supposed to say, you're just crazy, but that's generally how it comes out. But if someone seriously wants to address mental illness to a spouse, how do you do that? If they don't see they have a problem, I guess I would say.
Right.
What would you suggest, Lynn?
It's kind of hard, because I'm going to tell you, there's going to be a challenge there, okay? We don't sugarcoat in counseling, okay? There's going to be a challenge there. So you're going to tell that person, you know what? Let's try to get some help. There's a problem in our marriage, and you can start out with marriage counseling. And if you're with a good marriage counselor, that marriage counselor is going to see the signs of mental illness. And that marriage counselor is going to say, you know what, I need to talk with that one by himself. Or, you can do things that way. You can also sit down and say, you know what, we're just, I really wish you go talk to someone, maybe the pastor at church, or if you have a good relationship with your pastor at church, that could be a door opening to getting some type of help. And if he respects the pastor of the church enough, he'll respect his opinion. And the pastor can say, have you ever thought about talking with someone? That can be an option for you as well.
Okay, so Thayer has a question, but I want to we're going to go into church. And you're talking to the pastor and the church's view on mental health and the pray about it method, as opposed to get help with it method. So Thayer says, in your professional opinion, how effective have you seen meditation to help with mental health?
Very effective, but only with certain disorders. In anxiety, it is very, very effective, because what it does is a calming principle that we use. And we usually tell you to lift your arms above heart level. Close your eyes and breathe in and out. Slow breaths 5 times. The arms have to be above heart level. And it automatically calms you down, And you're going to have a mental picture in your mind. You're blocking out the issue that caused you the anxiety. So it's very effective on anxiety. It can be effective on depression, but more so with depression, is changing your cognitive distortions, your negative views. How can you turn the negative into a positive? And that's the first thing I like to do. You know what? Let's turn that negative into a positive. How can you change that thought? And automatically, like, wow, I didn't think about it that way.
Right.
So that's why I say we got to change our lens. We got to look at things differently. And that's good. But meditation is very good. It's a calming principle that we use. And it's very good for a lot of disorders.
So when you're talking about meditation, is that when, like, if you're having an anxiety attack, that type, you're saying at that moment you do that?
Yeah, at that moment. You're going to stop. You're going to block out everything. And you're just going to start to meditate. You're going to close those eyes, and you're going to drift off. And you're just going to breathe. And that thought is not bothering you at that moment, because mental telepathy, you're mentally focusing on something else.
Wow. Okay. So church has a stigma with mental illness in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So in the past, if someone wouldn't necessarily feel comfortable going to a pastor because they would tell you to pray about it, And it's not that we don't. First of all, I'm going to put a disclaimer: we're not telling you not to pray about, not to go to God. But there's some things that you have to go get help for. Just like
Right.
you pray about if you have diabetes or if you have heart disease, you pray for healing. However, at a certain point, you have to get help for it. You know, whether there's medicine or whatever you have to do something yourself. So my question is, when you go to church and the church kind of sends you in a place where you're not, your faith is not strong enough, or, you know, like you saying you have something mental, I mean, you're not a good enough Christian. You know, I just know that there's a really negative stigma with mental health in church.
Well, you know, some disorders you can't just lay hands on. Okay, let's leave it like that. I believe in
agree.
oil, I believe in anointing. I'm a prayer warrior, I'm an intercessor, but sometimes you need talk therapy along with prayer and along with
Right.
some. Now,
Right.
I've been doing spiritual counseling. I always incorporate God into my counseling because He's first and foremost. So
Right.
He gave me this, so I'm going to glorify Him in all that I do. So I like to incorporate the Word of God into counseling
Right.
because the Bible is the basic instructions before leaving Earth. So
Right.
it can give you some instructions there. But with the church and the pastors, and you know, I believe that yes, you can pray. You can pray over them, but then again, along with talk therapy, and some disorders require some medication.
Right. I think that that stigma is just
Yes.
It doesn't do well for the church, because people are afraid to go get help because of what they're going to get labeled as, or the lack of. You know, I'm like, listen, I'm a minister, but if I need help, I need help. Like, they don't tell you not to go to the doctor if you got diabetes, or
Right.
if your foot is hurting and you can't walk, or if it's turning green, you better go to the doctor and see what's going on. So why would it not be the same thing mentally? Why is God only able to deal with your mental stuff, but He can't deal with your physical? If that's your thought process.
Your physical, not your mental.
Yeah, your physical, not your mental. See, that's why I got my husband, my head me right there. You see him? Because I will transpose some stuff in a minute. So
I know what you mean, baby.
you know, but so I'm gonna use myself. When I was going through my stuff, did you notice what was going on with me before the doctor said something to me about it? Remember, I was having.
Well, I didn't necessarily put a label on it, but I knew something was wrong with you. You wasn't right. You wasn't your.
He said I wasn't right.
Yeah, you weren't your normal self. So I didn't say, "Oh yeah, that's clinical depression." I didn't say that, but I knew something was amiss.
No, but at the time, I was exhibiting signs. I thought physically only, or was it mental too?
Well, like you were saying, you slept all the time, but we thought originally it was a product of the headaches. But you had headaches because you were stressed and you were depressed.
Stressed and depressed.
Right, and probably some other stuff too.
Now we're gonna go to we don't have long to go, but we're gonna go to the topic of trauma. I know that you mentioned about rape and molestation, things of that nature. And I had rape early on in my life that I had not dealt with. Didn't know that was a product. And we're not just talking about depression at this point, just talk about mental health and relationships, that it was still affecting me.
Right. I don't think we were able to grow in our relationship until
Baby,
you dealt with that. What?
Your head was turned that way.
I'm looking at you.
No, you was looking at me, baby.
I'm looking at you, honey.
Look at me now, baby.
You. Yeah, I don't think we were able to grow as much as we have now until you dealt with that situation.
But I was saying I'm trying to help somebody not go through what we went through on our own, because we were so into, at that time, trying to help people. We realized that we had to talk through some things.
Well, the funny thing is we were doing couples therapy, but we didn't deal with that. We were dealing with the relationship.
We were going to, so Lynn, we
Right.
first went to couples therapy. We went to a therapist every week for 2 years.
Right.
And we started going because of our children. And then we started talking.
Right.
And so we realized that even when we didn't have issues, it helped us to learn how to navigate with us. We had gone to, we did church stuff, we did regular, but we also did a traditional therapist.
Right.
And we're thankful for it because all of those things incorporate into what we do and how we help, we share our experiences. But I didn't realize that. Okay, so what would happen was, I know you were talking about trauma. I think it was when you said you touched me or something like that. How was it to go with?
Well, just different times I would touch you. You
See,
would,
hit that way. See, hit that
you
way.
would pull away or do something weird. I don't know.
It was. I wasn't thinking about it.
Right.
So how do you, if you got a spouse that has some type of trauma? Because I saw a post. The guy said, "I didn't sign up for all this. She has." Was it mental health? She had something.
She had something wrong.
Something was going on with her mentally, and
Right.
he said, "I didn't sign up for all this. Is it my job to heal her?" What would you say to that? To a
Well,
husband?
Up to heal, but first of all, when you take your marriage vows, I believe that the marriage vows say, good, bad, thick and thin, whatever, sickness and in health. So if there is mental illness, that is a sickness, okay?
Right.
And there needs to be help. You are each other's partner in order to help them get through this,
Right.
So, I mean, let's look at the umbrella of marriage. There's God, the husband, then the wife, then the children. So if the husband goes to God in prayer, and God says you need to help your wife, look after your helpmate, okay?
Right.
That is helpmate. So, well, you did sign up for it. So that's the first
Right.
thing. The second thing is that, for instance, when you help her, there could be some other issues. That trauma is a big thing because if you
Yeah.
think about it, you've been holding on to that for a long time. And a lot of people who have been molested or have trauma in their life from certain things, such as that sexual abuse, it's a secret for them. So that causes them other issues in their life.
Yeah.
You think about the depression and things of that nature, but the couples counseling can alleviate a lot of that. And I don't know if your counselor did it, but did she meet with you two individually for a period and then brought you back together?
No.
I don't think so.
Okay. I usually like to do that to get a perspective, the husband's perspective, the wife's perspective as to what the issue is in the marriage. And then I'll come back together with them and we'll discuss things. And in that breakout where I'm counseling with one, there are some things that you discover, that you can personally tell the husband or the wife, that you see that, this seems to be an issue that's causing this other issue. So trauma is something.
It is.
It is definitely.
It's difficult to deal with, but it depends on the type of trauma. It depends on the type of trauma that you're dealing with. So it's hard. I don't know if I answered that correctly or
Yes. My son came in the house and he trying to do sign language behind the screen. So it was like, you like, ooh, go somewhere.
Okay. Okay.
So I just wanted to talk about that because people don't feel like they don't understand the significance of two people working together at, when you're married about things that are going on, and it's like they say for better or for worse, but I don't really think they understand what the for better or worse really entails because you don't have a list. When people get sick, cancer or death, you don't say this person's mom gonna die, this sister gonna die. You don't have those type of things that give you a list. Now
Right.
It says, would you recommend someone deal or seek help of a trauma before getting married?
Yes, I recommend premarital counseling.
But by yourself, like they need to get. They need to get. If I knew, like I didn't know that was a trauma because my coping mechanism was to suppress it. Like
about it, right?
I couldn't remember details about it until one day we were watching a movie which actually had nothing to do with that, and it just all flooded back to me like a bad dream. So my method was suppression. So I didn't remember. I guess I put in a little box somewhere and I sent it far away.
We use a lot of different things to bring it current, like hypnotherapy. That's one thing that I can do, and it'll bring out, EMDR.
So you do hypnotherapy?
Yeah. Hypnosis. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's scary to me.
Eye movement sensitization that can, bring things forward as well. Because remember, we store things under what it causes. And sometimes we have triggers that bring it forward. So if there's trauma, we're going to store it under, say there was a car accident. That's trauma. So we're going to store it under maybe that car accident. You could be watching something on TV and you see a car accident. All of a sudden, that man is on a ladder in your brain and he's pulling that file forward. And all of a sudden you relive that trauma because it
Lord.
So
yes, I was doing sign language behind the screen. Cedric over here trying to text on the phone. He's like, "Will you move?" And they all do sign language.
Exactly.
I don't know. And I'm saying they know that this is our time, but that's children for you, and you have boys, so you know.
Oh, it's something. But mental health is very, very important. And if people could really understand how powerful the mind is. Satan's not after anything else on your body but this right here. If he got
your mind, he has you.
That's right.
I didn't really understand that. My dad used to say stuff like that. They had their mind. If they have your mind, they can control you or something like that. And I was just like, what? And I didn't get it. But people don't even have to be present. But if they are in your mind, they can, you won't do this because what will they say and what, they think. Right. That is a big one. Tasha, that's right. Yeah, that's me. Florence says maybe the person can go to get help, but they won't follow the direction and instructions given to help. The individual may follow instructions for a short while, then they revert back to the same behavior as before you got help. What would you suggest? That is a very, very, very true and accurate statement. People, but that's in anything. Just like with weight loss, people go to the gym for a little while, then they stop. You have good eating habits, you stop. So mental health, they go get help. They know what to do, Lynn. You tell them what to do, and then they stop. What do you suggest is what this question is asking?
Self-motivation. Do you want to be free or you want to go back to the way you were? It's self-motivation. Sometimes we got to be like David. We got to encourage ourselves, okay?
Encourage yourself in the Lord.
No, that's right.
Be like this anymore. So I'm going, and maybe go see another therapist. Go see a different therapist. Remember what I said, therapy is all about relationship building. You want to have a relationship with that therapist so you can sit on that sofa or you can be virtual. You can tell that person everything that's down deep inside. You trust that person. So maybe that person didn't give you enough coping skills. Maybe this time I'm going to go see another therapist because maybe she can tell me something different. But self-motivation, you have to encourage yourself and you have to really talk to yourself. Remember, this is important. What you tell it to do, it's going to do, and your behavior will follow.
That's true.
Yeah, that's what I start feeling those types of ways. I'm like, you know what? I'm not even going to go there. I'm not going to let it get me down. I'm going to move on to the next thing.
So those types of ways, what does that mean?
Like she was saying, when you tell your mind something, it does it. So if you tell your mind, I'm not going to feel that way, I'm going to move to the next thing. I'm going to keep it pushing.
Yeah.
I'm just asking what type of way because men don't talk about what that type of way is. Like sometimes you guys are overwhelmed, like she said, with the police and with your job and with life. A black man, period, sometimes can just feel just being a black man to me is a whole nother level of weight that a white man don't have to feel.
Well, that's true, but I also look at it, like she says, a different lens. I look at it as a privilege to be this because they give us so much hell because everybody want to be us or be like us.
Your strength.
Right.
His lens like that. He looks at it differently, not from the negative. It's just like a parent.
Positive.
That's right.
That's just like when you were young and the girl that liked you would always hit you and push you. That's how she showed that she liked you, by hitting you and pushing you. It's the same thing. Everybody is always picking on us because they want to take from us what we have. They want to be like us. Just look at the culture. Everything they do is what we do. We do something, they take it and do it every time.
Right.
And that's not new. That's been happening since ever.
Mika says, "Speak on it," and that's true. He is very good at looking at a problem different than me. I go to the, oh my God, what is we gonna do? He like, look, this, that, and the other, because he always talk about how Black men are strong, and that's why they want to put us different places and want to do things. That's not my first thought process, but
right, when they tried that whole slavery thing, we weren't the first choice. You know that, right? We were like third or fourth down the line. They tried other people. It didn't work out. They didn't have the productivity. They got sick. They got hurt. So they were like, yeah, this ain't gonna work until they got it. Oh, these the ones.
Right. Mika said, afraid of greatness. And that's true. They are. Right.
And we're afraid of our own greatness. And that's why we sometimes don't want to try, don't want to do certain things, because we're afraid of what if it does work out? What if I do succeed? What if I shine too bright? You know what I mean?
Listen, I am going to encourage everybody to, first of all, if you need help, get help. And I have her website is on the screen. It's on the flyer, but I will post it on our page so you can go check her out. If you need to talk to somebody, talk to somebody. Lynn is great. She is versatile. She is well versed in her field, not like other people that just, do something to do it. She is passionate about it. And like she said, it's her purpose. Yeah. It's her calling. And you need people like that, because, when you don't want to be worried about when people doing things for a paycheck or doing things for a job, then they don't really give you everything. They don't think outside the box. They don't, you got spiritual and you got the knowledge that she has for you.
Right. And not only that, she's not one that just woke up and said, I'm this. She got paperwork. She's official.
She is
like
official.
The referee with the whistle. So you ain't got to worry about it. She okay.
Check her website out. She specializes in things like trauma and the different LGBTQ AI, something she said, I don't know, it's too many letters, but all of those things that, because in every family, you got people that go through gay stuff, you got the gay, not coming out, like I said, gay stuff coming out, you got things that, like she said, transgender, you got people that have church hurt, you have people that have trauma, it was something else, I read, she had a bunch of different things that you specialize in. Right. And no matter who you are, or whether you feel like things are right, wrong, and different, somebody's going through and you need a lifeline. Let her be your lifeline. Somebody that can help you and give you skills, what she said, in order to keep going. Thayer said, this is great information. Gave you a praying hands emoji. Tanja said it's smart, you is kind, you is important. That was a great way of looking at it and accurate.
Thank you, Chocolate.
Thank you, Chocolate.
That's my sis.
I really know that God gave Cedric to me, because I tend to go in situations for the negative, and he has a way of making it say, baby, that's not because of this. They wouldn't be coming after you if they didn't see this, so you need somebody that's going to balance out your life. If both of y'all is like, oh, the world is doomed, then that's not a good place to be.
I know, right?
Eric Moore says, excellent job. Thank you so much. And we appreciate Lynn. That's your who? That's your son? Oh, we love your mom.
I know, right?
All right now. So Mika King did a thing, I think it was like once a month, that it was a wellness thing during the pandemic, where it was a Zoom room. And it was another lady that was, I think she was a therapist. I'm not sure what her title was, but we would go in the room, and Florence said, this is great information. Thank you, Florence. And everybody would talk. It was a wellness, like, how are you? Right. And are you really okay? And we had men and women. That's what I loved the most. It was men, and that was when when the George Floyd thing happened, everything. And when I tell you to see men pour out their heart, and I did. It was so good for me that they admitted me to the hospital, and I tuned in. They were like, "Are you really in the hospital bed?" I was like, I didn't want to miss it, because it was time to share it. And it was I didn't know them people, but it was a safe place. I don't know how to express that in my life, but you need a lifeline. You need a safe place. in your life. And so I'm just saying that because I was thankful for Mika and that lifeline, that outlet. Even though she hasn't started it back up in 2021, but we ain't gonna talk about her right now because she sick right now. She had a COVID shot and had some side effects. But again, we want to thank Lynn. We will put everything. Tanya said, I've gone through therapy and not ashamed. Lynn, you did an excellent job. Mika King said, from the hospital, Lord. Right. Yes, they were so shocked, but I was like, it meant so much.
You were right there.
I was right. So like, I said, give me my computer. When I left that, I felt like I had
to walk all the way to the car and get the computer. It was a long ways.
Mika don't believe him. She said, yes, I'm still on trying. Yes, but I'm just saying, if you're in a place you see a need, help somebody, suggest them. Lynn, I'm gonna put your stuff there, and I'm gonna put it on regularly because I need them to be able to get to you, because I know even when we talked, just getting ready to get on the show, I felt like I hadn't talked to somebody. I was like, yes, she listens to me. She told me stuff.
I think I can add one last thing.
Yes.
It's judgmental. I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to help you. Because if you knew my story and what I've been through, you would say, but
only God.
So
but God.
Remember that. I'm not going to judge you. You can tell me anything. That's what it's all about. I'm open. I'm transparent. And you want a therapist that way, who's open, transparent, and knows your culture and can understand where you are in life. And that is very important.
Don't skip or to know your culture.
Very important.
Because it's very, to even know the plight of a black life is a big percentage of knowing how to navigate through this life. So I know my son one time said he went to a therapist and the lady told him, well, just go tell your parents his. And he was like, my parents are black. That right there, I know y'all do stuff like that, but we can't just go say anything to our parents. There's a way without getting all our teeth knocked out. I wish some people would be more open to help to get help when they really need it. Florence, you're right. Great platform. Thank you, hon. Miss Felicia. Yeah, but we definitely need more of this. Then look, thinking about Felicia's schools are the side effect. I see children in the school that have so much trauma, and they bring it to school. And I mean, I've seen kids have to get Baker acted, and the police have to take them to. That's a whole nother topic, but I'm just telling you that this is much needed, and we thank you. And I really, really pray that during this month of May, reach out to somebody. Don't text them. Pick up the phone and call and check on your friend, an old coworker. Check on somebody, because people are not doing well and they're not necessarily saying it. So check on somebody. Before we go, we always say a quick word of prayer. If that's okay with you, Miss Lynn?
Yes, ma'am, please. Yeah.
Okay. So, Lord, we thank you for this wonderful Monday, Lord. We just thank you for this wealth of knowledge, Lord, just for Miss Kelly as she comes on to give us information, Lord, that we did not know and that we need to know, Lord. Lord, help us to be able to reach out in those times of hurt, Lord, and that this platform, this message gets to all the people that you desire for it to get to, Lord, and that it would save the life of someone that is in a low place that do not feel like they can climb out. So we thank you right now for everyone that's on this broadcast that have watched, Lord, that's gathered information on all the marriages, Lord, that you would protect us and keep us all safe from any hurt, harm, or danger. We thank you right now for Ms. Lynn's practice, Lord, that you would send everybody her way that she can possibly handle, Lord. And we cancel some of the enemy over our lives, over our family, over our minds. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
And you have a great night. Y'all take care. You can stay on for a second, Ms. Lynn.